This is episode 4 of the Stoke Comment podcast. My guest today is Nick Higgins. Nick is the creator and editor of the Firehouse Tribune, author of the book The Five-Tool Firefighter, and is a lieutenant and training instructor in New Jersey, USA, as well as the host of the Five-Tool Firefighter podcast and co-host of the Station Talk podcast. During this episode, Nick and I discuss his role in the fire service, his introduction and route into life in the fire service, his background in college baseball, mental and physical health, and his approach to work and to life. As the recording of this interview took place on 9/11 this year, we also discussed the events of September 11, 2001, and Nick's own personal experiences and relationships that were affected by the events that day. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that Nick sadly lost his dad since we recorded this episode. We briefly discuss some of his exploits during this episode, and so given the circumstances, I would like to dedicate this episode to Gilbert Higgins. Good morning, Nick, in your part of the world. How are we doing?
It's very great to be here, James. How's it going over in the UK?
Yeah, really good. So where are we finding you today, mate? Whereabouts in the world are we finding you?
I am in New Jersey, US. So I'm right on the East Coast, right on the Atlantic Ocean. Guess into my fire service career, I'm a lieutenant. Yeah, I'm also in charge of training, so I'm lieutenant in training officer, however you want to put it, depending on who you talk to on the day of the week. For a department in New Jersey. I've been there for 20 plus years. I've been an officer with the company for about 7-8 years now. And on top of that, I'm an instructor here in the state of New Jersey. Have been able to teach a lot of fire service departments within the state, but I've also traveled out and been at many fire service conferences, such as Firehouse from the Firehouse magazine back in the day. Bunch of state conferences at different states across the U.S. and I spoke internationally with Canada, Scotland, Africa, and been doing podcasts with the UK. So it's great to be on this podcast because I'm a huge follower of Stoke and Vant, huge fan of James. So it's great to be on.
Great. Likewise, mate. Thank you for saying. Yeah, it's great to have you on as a guest. I know we've been talking about it for a while, and this podcast has been in the works for some time now. So I'm happy to finally be putting it together and interviewing the people that I've been wanting to interview for quite some time, like yourself. So yeah, a lot of experience there on your end, 20 odd years doing the job. So I imagine you've seen your fair share.
Yep.
Is that all in the same place, all in the same department?
All in the same department, just different houses. So I've been in this house for 15 years, right. 9 at the other. So I've liked this house a lot better. Not to say anything about the other house, bigger house. But I like it. Good group of people. And, I like being on an engine. So what can I say?
Yeah, so I think that is something that jumps out at me. You have more specific roles over there, don't you? So you've got, I believe you've got like engine and truck, which are completely different, aren't they? Whereas over here we just have a fire engine, and like right. Where I am, we call them pumps. So a fire engine, we call it a pump. So yep. We've got 2 pumps, but they do pretty much the same job. It might be that one has got water rescue capability, the other hasn't, but pretty much they do the same job. So what's the difference where you are then between like the different trucks, really?
Well, we also call them pumps, pumpers,
right, okay,
different names. But it depends on the department you're on. So some departments you're assigned to an engine, truck, rescue, squad, whatever. But where I am, we have houses that have truck, rescue, engine, where I started out. And then our house now is just a straight engine house as opposed to trucks. But we actually still do the work of truck work. We do rescue work. We make sure we're very interchangeable at the same time. Some departments do have that where just show up. Maybe you're on truck today. Maybe you're on engine tomorrow. Maybe you're on rescue another day. So it all depends on the dynamics of how that department's put together, how the staffing is. Is it a volunteer? Is it a combination? Is it full-time, 100%? many variables go into how they do it. It's also how the demographics of those areas are set up as well.
Right. Okay. So it's not as different
Right.
as I thought it was. It sounds
Right.
like it is a little bit more similar than I thought.
Right.
So anyway, I wanted to ask you. I know you've been at a 9/11 memorial event this
Yeah.
morning, as it is September the 11th today.
Yes.
And I know you've been at an event this morning. So
Mhm.
just wanted to ask you a bit about that really, and sort of where was it? Is it something you do every year? Because I know you're pretty close to
Right.
to
Yeah.
New York, just across the river, aren't you? So
Yeah.
you're sort of at the heart of it there, really, aren't you? Well, compared to a lot of us, anyway.
Yes. So my department, it's about 30, 40 minutes from the city on a good day. Where I live is roughly the same amount. I'm actually on the other side of the river of where my department is, so I'm another town over. And I just went to a memorial in the town I live in. Apparently, what I didn't know when I moved into this town that, ironically, it's called Somerset. I know there's a Somerset in the UK as well. A lot
Yep.
of towns here have names after English towns. So one of them is where I live, and we were affected by 9/11 in a way. This town had a lot of people that lost their lives. There was an FDNY firefighter who grew up in this town, who went to school in this town, and they honor him. They have a street named after him. Family's big in the town, so they do a memorial to honor the people that lived in this town that died that day, as well as that firefighter that died in the towers. So I went to that memorial this morning. There's going to be other memorials throughout the day in different towns around the areas. So I went to that. The fire service was there. They have the ladders up. They do a prayer service is really what it is. And just to honor those that were affected that day and those that are still affected by the events of September 11th.
Oh yeah. So that sounds quite poignant taking part in that, especially if there's
Yeah.
there's people there were directly affected by it. So it's a bit different over here, really. We have a parade. If we're working on September the 11th, we will parade out the front of the station and we'll pay our respects and everything. But it's a bit more sort of you sort of tipping your hat from a distance, really. So it's
Right.
it's less personal, and I imagine that will have a bit more of a profound effect on you. Being that close to it.
Yeah.
But
And,
yeah, thanks for sharing that, mate.
yeah, it's different when you witness it firsthand. You see it in your own backyard. You don't know what's happening, and you're still affected by it in many aspects, indirectly, directly. I knew people that were there. I know people that lost their lives there. Good friends of mine. So more and more stories come out each and every year that you learn, and you tend to get stronger, trying to move on
Yeah,
from it.
yeah, no, absolutely. I think it is something that I think we need to, we need to remember with the passage of time, don't we? And hopefully it's something that gets easier to remember with the passage of time. But that's speaking as somebody that wasn't directly affected by it, so I can't really speak to that. It depends on each individual and the experiences of people involved, won't it? And everything. But I do think it's something that is important, particularly in the fire service, for people that, we'll have a lot of people in the fire service now that weren't even born when that happened. So I think it is important that we do preserve the memory of that, and we carry it forwards as best we can, really. So yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. So I guess if you'll remember it then that day, won't you? Did you actually witness it?
Yes, I actually my dad actually witnessed it live. He was we have Norca. He was working on refinery. He worked in the trades, and he was working on a refinery right next to Newark Airport, right coming in Newark International Airport. And he was on top of a refinery that morning, and he said you could see the trade centers, you could see the whole skyline perfectly. And it was a perfect day outside. I remember the day. It was beautiful. It was almost like today. No clouds in the sky, nice weather. And it was a Tuesday, if I remember correctly. And he saw everything. From the minute it happened, you could feel it, he said. It felt like it was right on top of you. And him having been in the Army for many years, served in Vietnam and Special Forces, kind of got the hint that something wasn't right. So, I saw it The first one I didn't see. The first plane I didn't see. I was in high school, and I saw. I was sitting in class, and I went to an all boys prep school, and I was actually in religion class. I was in a Catholic school of all places, and it was the second period, and it was right before our morning break. We get a 15-minute break in my school where we just get to catch up on homework, whatever we got to do, eat something, and we get over the announcements. Everyone turned the TVs on. A plane has hit the World Trade Centers. Thinking that's just a small, you hear the stories, you think that's what it is. But we're watching, everyone's thinking like a bunch of men in a room, got to guys in a room, high school guys, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, like, okay, a plane hit it, wasn't paying attention. Guy probably just flew a small aircraft because they always fly around. And then we're watching it and we watch the second one hit. And then we knew right then and there something's not right. You start seeing the teachers crying, you start seeing other friends and classmates of yours panicking because their parents worked in the trade centers. They worked in financial district. One of them worked as an FDNY firefighter. Then you get on the announcement there's been a terror attack. So you start to really realize something's not right. For the whole rest of the day, nothing's right. Nobody everyone home. People just went home. People were leaving their houses, leaving schools. Parents were picking kids up. Teachers weren't teaching. One class, I think I took Spanish just to keep us, the teacher said to keep you out of what's going on. We're just going to learn, but nobody wanted to, because everyone's scared. And, you go home, people are walking the streets, not knowing what's going on. I'm in a town, like I said, 40 minutes, 30 minutes out, and you could see the smoke. You could see it, drive down a certain street, it's farm, and you just see the smoke. You could tell what it is. People in panic. People are thinking there's people here infiltrating the towns, infiltrating the cities. You just didn't know. And it was a very scary place to be for many years. I went to Ground Zero a few years later with my fire department. We took a trip in. And that was the most eerie, I guess I'm going to say eerie thing I've ever kind of witnessed. It wasn't a place where you felt something different. My lieutenant at the time was like, come on, we're going to go down there and take a day. A bunch of us went, and it was just a pit. Fence all around it. People were still being taken out. They were still removing stuff. This was like
it's
2005.
Still fresh,
very
isn't
fresh.
It? Yeah,
there was nothing.
It took a long time to rebuild it, didn't it?
It did. And when we saw the security guard and we said, we're firefighters from New Jersey. He said, I could take you as far as this because you're responders, as far as I could take you down in through this little carrier they had. And you just felt something. Like, just didn't feel right. You felt death. You felt sadness,
Yeah, I've heard other people say similar things, to be honest. I've never actually been, never been to the States, been over to Canada, but never been to the States. And New York is somewhere I would like to visit, and I would like to visit Ground Zero but I can't even imagine what that must have been, what it must have been like, what it must have been like at the time, and what you must have felt. It's just, even now, 24 years later, I can remember where I was. Do you know what I mean? I was on the other side of the planet, and I can remember where I was. I just got home from school. I think I was about, how old will I have been in 2001? I think I was 14.
Okay.
And I can remember coming home from school, and it was on the TV, and it was, and even I could grasp that this was something that I'd never seen before. This was something big, something horrible that had happened. So I can't even imagine what it must have felt like, seeing it, witnessing it firsthand, and the things that people must have been thinking. It must have been really terrifying, really.
Yeah, I've met people that were there that day that made it out. I've met firefighters that were there. I had a good friend growing up. His dad was my baseball coach, but he was a cop. He was a Port Authority cop that covers the bridges, tunnels, airport, and he was stationed in the World Trade Centers. He was off that day on medical leave, and, he went back with a surgically repaired shoulder and wasn't supposed to be, and went in and never came back. So, It's hard. It's
Oh,
hard to hear these things. And after all these years, um, you still feel a certain way because you're still like, what the hell happened? You know, it goes the same with when you talk to people who witnessed the Kennedy assassination or they witnessed, um, who lived through the Holocaust. You still feel something because you lived it. Whether you were there, directly impacted, you still feel something for that day.
yeah, they're the sort of events that they provoke a human response, don't they? And a lot of the time I think it can be quite overwhelming, and it's difficult to you want to make sense of things, but you can't. Something like that, you just can't make sense of it, can you? And you can't understand it. And yeah, I think even this all this time later, we still hear. I hear new stories every single year
Yeah.
about people and what happened, and I do think that it's such an important part of our history as human beings, and yourselves as Americans and as first responders. And I think it's some of the stories that came out of that day, some of the heroics that you hear about. And I do think that sometimes it often takes the worst events for us to see the best of humanity, and you always see such incredible people and strength of character shining through when things like that happen.
Yeah. And the one thing people said around here was, why can't we go back to being the Americans that we were on September 12th?
Yeah, it changed the world, didn't it?
Yeah.
Changed the world forever. And hopefully we can, there'll be a lot of good things that will come out of what followed.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's just
Yeah.
one of those things where you can go over it and over it, and it's just difficult to understand, isn't it? Really, but
Absolutely.
I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. You talking about it, especially today, because it's you know yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, mate.
No
I
problem.
appreciate it.
No problem.
Do you know what I also wanted to ask you as well, about your background, how you became a firefighter, really, and did you think that played into? Did you think that informed, or do you think that inspired you to become a firefighter?
So, I think underlining subconsciously it did in a way. And I've had this question asked a lot. It sort of did, I would say, because of the fact I never had interest in any of this stuff. Never.
Right.
I was baseball music, and I see the fire trucks riding the neighborhood and thought, oh, that's cool, but I don't want to do that. It's stupid. You know, it's not for me. It's dangerous. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And my school, like I said, was a Catholic school, so we had to do community service for a course I took. I took this one course. It was called campus ministry. And if you took this course, you had to do community service. The first year was in your church if you were of Catholic faith. If you weren't, you did it in whatever faith you were. You had whoever it was sign off on. You helped out in some kind of way at your place of worship. Second year, I took it again because it was cool. It was an interesting thing to do, and you had to do something in your community. I knew my mom knew some people at the fire. She knew the fire inspectors. It said, hey, my son needs to do some community service. Any way he can help out? Just kind of like sweep the floors or, help out with cleaning up the place, something like that nature, just like mop up, wash the fire trucks. And he's like, yeah, bring them down to the one firehouse and we'll show them around and have them just start cleaning. And I showed up the week later. It was honestly the week after 9/11. I showed up and they just started handing me stuff. I'll be down there after I get out of school, after he gets out of work, dropped me off and said, you're going to bring him home? And he said, yeah, I'll bring him home in 2 hours. So I'm just, getting a tour of the place and seeing what's going on. And he said, hey, listen, when you're ready, here's an application if you want to be part of this thing. And I'm like, what? He took me home in a fire truck too. He's like, here, get in. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, let's go in your car. No, get in the truck. I'm like, are you allowed to do this? He's like, do whatever I want. I'm the chief. I'm like, I didn't understand anything like that. You just do that. Drops
Yeah.
me off, and it's just like, just hang on to it. And, I just would go there every week and do my hours that I had to do, and then never stop coming down, and just hung out, and they just taught me things. And when I was old enough, they, were like, you want to be a firefighter? You want to go to fire school? And when it was the semester to do it, I didn't do it right away. I was playing college baseball, and I said, I'm going to do
Yeah, I
both.
thought you did. I remember having a chat to you about that. I thought you played college baseball.
I went to the chief, and I said, hey, listen, I'm going to do both. I'll play there, and, I could take the night class. It's a 3-day a week instead of 5. And he's like, no, you're not doing that. You started college. You're playing ball. You could go in the summer, next summer. I'm like, I don't want to wait. He's like, I don't care what you want to do. We're not approving this. And baseball finished up, and here we go. So I just enjoyed it and just dove into it, and went to college at the same time, and just kept learning, and just dove into the classes, and did what I had to do. So that's how I got into it. And it was just kind of like, I learned to really like helping people. And it really kind of started catching on when I was able to do some stuff, and kind of help with medical calls. Because you could start medical younger. New Jersey, you could do 16. You could start being on an ambulance and start learning to be an EMT. So I was able to do that. And I always loved helping people. I always liked giving back. It was just something I've always liked to do.
That is a
And
common theme.
yeah,
Definitely a common theme with firefighters. It's
and
quite cathartic, I think, isn't
yeah,
it? You feel useful.
yeah, I felt useful, and just being able to, like, I never would, I didn't get, I wouldn't say I didn't get scared, but I didn't get a sense of like, turn away, like, oh, that's gross, or, this person's bleeding or throwing up. It didn't affect me in that way. It just, like, I was there because I had to do something. Like, I had to do something, no matter what it was. And it just kind of clicked in, and just everything after that was always like, I always feel like I have to do something to help somebody. Because, they say we're solvers of the world, and that kind of mindset just kind of triggered into me. And that's how it started. And I just kind of fell in love with it. And at one point, I was everything. It's firefighting. Everything was fire service for me. But, as I grew up, I realized as I got into my late 20s and 30s, get married in my late 20s, had kids in 30. There's more to life than just being a firefighter. And, you know, learned how to balance everything out a little bit more, not doing as much, hey, I want to go and take this 16-hour training course at this academy. It's offered this weekend, but you can't do that all the time. You can't give up extra days when your kids are home, or when you got something to do with the family. When you're a bachelor, you do anything you want. But you start to learn how to balance things out and still love what you do. And I still say you still have to love the job, but you also have to make that time for your family. And that's how everything kind of came about to where we are today, in a nutshell.
I absolutely agree. That's pretty much kind of the message I'm trying to push really as well. You can love your job without it being the center of everything. Like
Right.
if your job is your whole world, then it might be that some people haven't got anything else outside of work. But if you have, if you've got your family, then your family deserve
Yeah,
more of you, more of an investment than your job deserves. Because I always say your job can replace you tomorrow, but your family can't. And
absolutely.
I think that is one thing that this job does give is in my experience anyway is balance. It's a good work-life balance, and it certainly sounds like you have got your priorities in order. What's the shift system like? Because I know you guys you have a little bit of a similar shift pattern to us, but I don't think you get as many days off as we do
Yeah,
potentially.
some departments are 24 on, 40, 40, 24 72s, 24 48s, 48s. Some are 12s. It really depends where you are. And then there's the volunteer side. So depending on where you are. So that's how it is. Some do 12s. Some, there's departments right, but like my area, it's 12 hours on, 10 hours on. just because stuff like that. So, um, it all depends on what type of department you're in. A lot
So
of
what's your
combination
actual shift?
departments.
What's your shift pattern then? How many days on do you do and days off, and does it change or?
For us, it stays the same. So it's like it's 12. It's like a regular work day. We'll do
Yeah,
stuff like that. So a regular work day, and then it's volunteer at night. So that's the best part about it. For us, it's that combination style. So you have the guys during the day, and then you have the volunteers come on at night, and then maybe some guys will backfill. But other departments around us are 24s. Other departments are straight volunteers. But the volunteers also do shift work. They'll stay on 6 o'clock at night, coming off at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock at night, coming off at
on
5 o'clock
on stations, like
in the
actually
station. Yeah.
at the station. So doing a
Yep.
shift, but for free, doing
Yeah.
it on a
Hmm.
volunteer basis.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you get a lot of different demographics here. And, there's a lot of career departments and there's a lot of volunteer departments. And there's also those combination departments that are allowing. There's one department right by me. They have the same kind of schedule. It was a combination department for many years. Now it's kind of like not a volunteer house anymore. It's like per diem firefighters all day. So you got full time, and the full time guys do 12. They'll do 12 hours. One will do 24. I'm still trying to understand how they work it out because they're still shifting over. And the
Yeah.
rest are guys that'll just pick it up, like 2 guys on, 3 guys on, for 12 hours. And you only have to do it. You only have to do a certain amount of hours a month. So they're doing that plus their full time job, whether they're a full time fireman or whatever they do, and they're still doing these paid gigs at the same time. So it's working out based on how society is going in certain areas of it that were full-time volunteers, and now they're doing things where you're not as full-time, and they're starting to shift it over, saying, we can afford to put somebody on for 12 hours and have one person in each house or 2 guys in each house, and then have other guys backfill as they need. So it's really a different type of scenarios in different areas. And there's one house that does, not too far from here, paid guys throughout till 4:30, 7:30 to 4:30. It's a paid, and then at night flips right to the volunteers, and they say it works out.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that it's a little bit similar to some setups over here because we have day crewed stations where it'll be
Yes.
it's crewed Monday to Friday 8 till 6 or 9 till 6, and then it's
Yep.
on call overnight or on call on a weekend, and sometimes it's a different crew, sometimes it's the same crew. So it might be that they live and work at the station to do a day shift, go home, and then they're on call from their house overnight. Yes, it sounds pretty similar, really. Similar kind of
Basically,
setup.
that was probably a better explanation than I gave. I gave a kind of long-winded one, but
Well,
it was
it sounds like there are maybe a bit more variations
yeah.
over where you are, because I know they're funded very differently over there. A lot of them, aren't they? If they're volunteer departments, they're basically self-funded, aren't they? Whereas we don't really get that here. It's government funded. It might not be very well government funded, but it's government funded.
So do we have a fire tax in a lot of our towns? There's a thing called fire tax or fire district tax, however they put it. So our taxes actually go to funding these fire departments, and they do what else they do, doing fundraisers, doing events, but majority of their money comes from government.
Right. Yeah. So same here, really. We have a
Yeah.
council tax which contributes to public services. So
Yep.
yeah, pretty similar. I wanted to ask you as well. So I know we've discussed similarities between the US and the UK fire service before. What's the culture like in the American fire service when it comes to physical and mental health? So prioritizing. Are you encouraged to prioritize your health, physical and mental health, or is there still a bit of a stigma around it, or is it are we moving forwards in that area over there?
From my perspective, we have the NFPA, National Fire Protection Agency. The NFPA, they have standards: 1580, 1581, 1582. I'm not going to get into them. They're all kind of circumventing into 1580, and it all has to do with medical, getting your physicals, medical stuff, PPE, physical fitness. And my department, speaking on my department, and I'll talk from my experience, we have, in a sense, an extensive, or what we think is an extensive medical workup. So, and I just did mine the other night. Ours, we do we're required, and there's no getting out of it. There's no exemptions for it. You can't
Is
have
this every year?
every single year.
Yeah.
We are mandated by our department, our town, to have them have a physician that they bring into our training facility and give us a full workup to an extent. We're not doing stress tests. We're doing EKG, blood work, hearing, vision, fit, pulmonary, and just a regular routine checkup you get at the doctor.
Like a physical exam.
Yeah, a physical exam at the doctor.
Yeah.
We do that every single year. There's no exemption for that. It's mandatory. You can either show up or you can schedule one on your own time to go to their facility and get it done. So we do that every single year, but the key behind it, and I was talking to someone about it, is the key behind doing that is it's actually supposed to get you to go to your own doctor after you get the results. It's required or recommended, I should say. You get the printouts from their doctor in a sealed envelope. You're supposed to bring those to your primary care physician and have them review it. And then they're supposed to do a workup. Whether you do it or not, that's on you. I personally do.
Okay. Yeah.
That's part of the other policy is we don't have a gym. My station doesn't have a gym. A couple other ones have a gym.
Yeah.
And my old house does. We actually renovated. I was there when we did this. We renovated a storage unit and turned it into a little gym. And this was back 2005, 2006. They wanted to do it. So we did. Just put some machines in there, elliptical, treadmill, and a universal cable machine. Press, pull down, leg machine, all in one. Didn't get much feedback from a lot of people. People did it, people didn't do it. Medical, a lot of EMS people, we have EMS in that house. They were always in there. Some firefighters were in there. It was kind of like, we do when you do it. Our house says we have a gym 2 blocks away. We have gyms all around town. Wherever you live, there's gyms. You bring us your receipt to your gym, we'll reimburse you. But the key is you have to give us out, and outside of your receipt for the year of your monthly subscriptions, if you go to a gym, you have to request your check-in log. Right, shows how many times you scan that card for your gym membership.
To make sure you're actually using it.
To make sure you're using it. Yeah. And they'll reimburse you. I don't take advantage of that because I have my own gym.
Yeah.
In my own house. So I'd rather just do it on my own time.
That's the dream. Home gym.
Yeah. It's not the greatest, It's just a lot of kettlebells and stuff like that. But, I do with what I got. And that's what we do. Other things, we try to do is the National Phone Firefighters, I'm an advocate for in the state of New Jersey. We try to push physical fitness. A lot of academies in New Jersey are pushing physical fitness, because in order to be a firefighter, you have to take the CPAT test, the physical fitness agility test before you get in.
So what does CPAT stand for?
Oh, geez, you're tracking my memory now.
I've seen it before. I've heard it talked. It's basically it's just a fitness test, basically.
Yes, fitness test.
Okay, we won't worry about what it stands for. It's just a fitness test. Yeah.
I was just talking to someone about this the other day, and I always mess up acronyms. But you take the test.
There's too many of them, to be honest, in our job. Yeah.
So you take that, you do an agility test. In order to graduate the academies in New Jersey, you have to take that test again. So you do it. Go for the academy, take the test. And you have to do it in a time frame. I believe it's still 5 minutes.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact specifics of it. It's been a long time. I just coached somebody on passing one not a month ago. Basically, you have to put your drag hose, wrap a hydrant, put your bunkers on, climb a ladder, drag some charged line or dry line up a flight of stairs. So it's a good amount of stuff you have to do. And I'm drawing the blanks on exactly how it works again. I haven't taken it in a while, but we do modified versions in our firehouse in our training grounds from time to time just to keep going. But they're putting physical fitness into the academies, doing warm-ups, dynamic warm-ups, static stretching, different things to ensure firefighters are actually taking care of their health before they even get there. Back during COVID, they were realizing guys were coming when they were opening up academies again for training. They were realizing that firefighters were not taking care of themselves, and they were dropping out because they couldn't do physical fitness. And
Right.
some academies were going a little too hard on it. My belief, and is becoming because of my background in physical fitness, a certified personal trainer, and nutrition coach. If you're teaching the physical side of things with different exercise and workouts, you should have some type of background or some type of training in anatomy, physiology, physical fitness. You shouldn't just be a fire instructor saying, hey, I read a book. Maybe it's a book by Derek Harrigan and Jim Moss, a great book on firefighter functional fitness, or reading something from Aaron Zamzow and saying,
That is a great book.
I
Yep.
can teach this stuff. Those guys are highly educated, highly certified, and highly trained in those areas. They're giving you the information to the most dumbest down, easy to read possible for everybody to understand. But in order for you to show someone how to do those things, you should have some type of background or some type of training in doing that. And at one point, there wasn't people. They were just reading the book and saying, we're going to do what we want to do because we read this book. And now it's becoming where they're starting to really regiment it and really understand that you're hurting people, you're overworking them. And now New Jersey's really, really on top of it. So, over the years, so we're doing stuff, fitness seminars, fitness symposiums. It's all happening. A lot of courses on this stuff throughout the state. So, we're big into it. So,
Yeah, great. No, that's really refreshing to hear, because you don't always get that. I guess some services, some departments will push certain things more than others. And I mean, especially what you said about your medicals, your annual your annual health medicals. We have one every 3 years, and it doesn't even come anywhere close to what you guys have by the sound of it. We're exploring other avenues at the moment, trying to include like screening and physicals and stuff. But basically, it's just to make sure that we're fit enough to ride the pumps, really. So it's your eyesight, your hearing test, your weight, your height, your lung function test, and I think that's pretty much it, really. That's kind of it, to be honest.
And you did actually remind me of something. New Jersey also has this program. It's a free program for any firefighter and their families in New Jersey. It's called the Captain Buscio program. I don't know if you ever heard of it over in the UK,
Nope.
but Captain Buscio, he was a Jersey City firefighter. Jersey City is on the Hudson River, right across from New York City. He died. He had a heart attack on vacation, and his family put together this physical fitness, this medical screening, and it was first started at Newark Airport. All firefighters and their immediate families can get this thing done. It was like hours of a workup. They do everything. They do scans of your body, stress tests. I have not had it done yet, and I keep saying I'm going to have it done. I just haven't had it done. But everyone that I've spoken to said they've never had a physical the way this organization, this service does this physical, and it's totally free for New Jersey firefighters and their families.
Wow.
So these are things they put in line. He died early 2000s, and they put this in place, and the family pushed it, and it's still strong to this day. As an advocate for the foundation, we talk about it because our job is to make sure everyone goes home safe.
Yep.
And we push it, and I feel bad, and I feel like a hypocrite that I'm pushing something that I never did, but my fellow advocates have done it. So I really got to get my ass in gear and get it.
Yeah, and I guess it's just when I'm sure you will at some point.
Yeah.
It's good to know that is there for you to take advantage of when you feel necessary. I think when you feel it necessary. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, there's still the stigma though. You still have people that don't. I'm not working out. I don't believe in it, and it's fun. It's just part of your beliefs, and you exercise the way you want, and we'll exercise the way we want.
Yeah, each their own. You can't. I think as long as people are sort of meeting the standard or passing the tests that required, you can't force You can't force anyone to get in the gym, can you?
Nope.
So yeah, do you have regular fitness tests? Because if you've got you've got your medical every year, do you do a
Yes.
fitness test as well?
We do and don't. So my department, as the training officer, sort of do. I don't. We do is we have this thing in New Jersey for OSHA, PE OSHA, I should say. It's different outside of OSHA. It's for public employees, Operational Safety Health Administration. We have to do our SCBAs, which is our BAs, as you call it, our breathing apparatus. We have to have a refresher every year, and the minimum standard is a lecture. But me being me, I don't want to do minimum standards. I want to go a little bit higher than minimum standards. So
it's a what? Sorry, a lecture? Did you say?
Yes, just a lecture on how the air pack works.
Right, got you.
We do that. A couple minutes, just review it, refresh it, and what I have everyone do is they are required to put the air pack on. Now, you can elect out of it. I'm not saying it's mandatory, but what I'm saying is you have to go through the motions of wearing the air pack, and I start things off as if I'm giving you like working you out. Put it on, put your air pack on, put your gear on, put it on. Just walk. Walk with it on, no regulator, just walk. Now let's turn it on, put your mask on, put the regulator in, and just walk. Feel the difference. Then what I'm starting to do is, all right, look at your heads-up display. What's your PSI? Let's start talking about it. Now you have to start being, situation aware. How many areas do you know how much air you have in your bottle? Well, there's 3 different ways. You have it from the back, you have your heads-up display, and you have your regulator. So I'm testing them as they're just walking. What's your pressure? What are you at? What are you at? Now I'm having them, if we're doing it in the station, get me a tool off the apparatus. Whoa. You had me carry a Halligan. That's nothing. All right, keep walking with the Halligan. Okay, I want you to carry a roll of hose, 1 3/4, 50-foot roll of hose. Are you going to carry a fire extinguisher? You're going to carry a set of irons. You're going to, different things. We're just going to start moving. All right, why am I walking around the firehouse inside and out like a moron with all this stuff on? What's your air at? Okay, we have a set of stairs to go into the 2nd floor. Let's walk up them stairs, walk across the catwalk, and come on back. Walk past all the offices and everything else up there. You come back down one by one. And to get up there, you have to kind of duck down. It's not that high coming in, so you kind of duck. All right, what's your air going up and down? And it's not 12 steps. It's like 20 steps up. It's pretty high up. Oh, I'm a little winded now. I'm carrying this stupid tool at the same time. All right, everyone stand here. Now I'm making them stand there holding these tools. What's your air at? All right, you're breathing a little heavy. Let's slow your breathing down. Let's walk around the firehouse. Let's walk around the block. Let's do it again. Oh, this time we're going to crawl in the firehouse. Let's crawl. Let's crawl around. All right, it's getting tired. Keep the tool with you. If you're carrying a roll of hose, well, now you're going to get something else to carry. How about the rescue dummy we have sitting here, the hose dummy? Drag that. So everyone's getting something different to carry. So everyone's not getting a fair shake. Everyone's getting something different weights. Oh, now okay, what's your air at? Oh, I'm burning air. I'm sucking it down fast. I'm burning the bottle quick. All right, hey, let's do a par. All right, let's do it this way. So I'm just making them burn those bottles in different ways and seeing where they are and how long it's taking them from one activity. And I'm timing it's going. So I'm doing split times, this and that. And someone's with me at the same time, logging it down, logging the air. And we talk about it at the end and see, how do you feel? And at the end, we don't just stop. After we go through it and I get them worked up and I start noticing their bottles getting to a half of their bottles getting to it starts to hit that 33%, and that's when your vibe alert's going to go off. Now at 33 as opposed to 25, which they changed in the standard in 2018. So now it's going off. Why is it going off? Why is your going off and his not going off or hers not going off? Oh, well, I haven't, I was a little tired from all this. Well, that person's carrying a rescue dummy and you're carrying a Halligan. Are you not controlling your breathing? So now we're going to stop. Now we're going to finish up. And how are we going to finish up? We're going to cool our bodies down on air. We're going to start practicing our breathing. We're going to start doing those breathing techniques, box breathing, skip breathing, and all them things.
Right, and you do that on air as well.
Do it on air.
I like that.
It takes about we limit it to like 45 minutes, not of total time. So that's total.
That's good though, because you're teaching them as well. You're teaching them how to get control, take control of the breathing, how to calm themselves down if they do get in a situation where they're stressed. They're going to remember that. They're going to switch into that and go to that, aren't they? And they're going to be able to take control.
Yeah, And we all sometimes we talk with one of my captain about it or chief about it. Hey, why don't we bring them to our training grounds and have them go up and down the fire escape on the outside, or go breach a wall or do it in the maze? And I said, because I want to make sure they can control their bodies first. They have to be able to control their bodies, control their mind. If they could do it here and they can understand the physiological concepts of what we're doing and all these different breathings, like you just said, and they could be aware of where they are, when we black them out with some wax paper inside them buildings, they're going to fail to their lowest level of standard, which they didn't know how to do that before, or they're going to start thinking, oh, wait a minute, I'm in a burn facility. If there's no smoke or fire, I'm blacked out, or I'm using smoke bombs or cold smoke, and I'm okay. Let me calm down. I remember that breathing technique. I remember doing this, remember doing that. So I always like to start from the ground level. Every year, it's like a refresher every year. It doesn't stop because you did it last September or last November.
Yeah.
You might have done it in May. We're doing it again in September. Keep refreshing it.
I like it. I like what you said there as well. You said they fall to their base level of
Yep.
training. Reminds me of a quote. I can't remember who said. I think multiple people have. You probably know what I'm going to say. I think multiple people have said it over the years. I think something like, we don't rise to our expectations. We fall to our level of training.
Something of that nature. Yep.
Yeah, and it's so true. And I think that if you're giving them a good base and they're building a solid base, then hopefully they may fall to that base, but hopefully they won't have far to fall.
Exactly.
So yeah,
it's a good way to put it. Not too far to fall.
Yeah.
And I do that with everything. Everything we do. Hose advancements, stretching lines, everything. It all is raise the ladder is the same concept.
Yeah. I totally agree. Totally agree. I wanted to ask as well about, off the back of that, sort of, what's the stigma like around mental health?
Okay. That is still a stigma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, isn't it? I think it is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The advocacy, we try to get rid of the stigma as best we can. There's other places like Next Wrong. I'm sure you heard of Next Wrong. Blake's the man, Charlie,
Yeah.
good guys. They're trying to erase that stigma, what they do. They have their stuff where they have around-the-clock service, peer support counselors, 24 hours. And those peer support counselors, and this is not a plug, they have their first responders that are trained and they can answer the call for the mental health. National Phone firefighters have stuff that's helping with mental health. It's helping with things like line of duties. So National Firefighters do a lot for the line of duties, but they put programs together, and they were doing them on YouTube a lot. You can still go get them. It's called IC to IC. It's the incident commander of a line of duty. They get brought down to National Fire Academy, Emmitsburg, Maryland, with other incident commanders that were involved in a line of duty. And they go through this course where they have to talk about that line of duty. It's a mental game at this point. One of my good friends, mentor at the same time, and a colleague at the advocacy takes part in these programs. And their job is to get them to talk about it, get them to repaint it, and cope with what's going on. Best way I can explain it. And they have to basically, at the end, is they're repainting the picture from that day to talk about what happened with other incident commanders that went through it. And then they're presenting it. And that presentation is the IC to IC program. You can watch them on YouTube. It's a way to help cope with that day of whatever happened, with how you might have thought you messed up. And you always hear when someone dies in line of duty, you hear the family say, I thought he knew what he was doing. I thought he was trained to know what to do. Of course you were. But the outside circumstances change. Not every line of duty or incident, you can't foresee everything. So there's a lot of programs out there. The FMBA union has peer support counseling as well. They're utilizing people that aren't maybe union members, that are outside, they're being trained to have peer support, because any incident, big or small, can set you off. We had a firefighter. He's no longer with us in my department. He's alive. He's not a firefighter anymore. He's no longer with us. I don't mean he's gone, but we had maybe he was 2 years on, 3 years. And he was one of those, I just want to burn. those type of guys. I'm a
Right, yeah.
firefighter. I'm tough. This, that.
I know the type. Yeah.
We saw, I don't want to say in a mean way, but we saw how quickly his mental health changed when we went to a car fire. Actually, it was not a car fire when it was called in. It was a motor vehicle accident that we responded to. When we got there, it was a fully involved car fire, and the driver was still in the car. Fortunately, the driver didn't make it. Nobody knew this guy was in the car. This guy was on the nozzle, putting that car fire out. And I saw maybe a week or two later after it all, it happened, keep it quiet for a little bit. Wasn't acting right. And I said, hey man, you all right? I'm fine. I said, you sure you're good? He said, I'm fine. I said, all right, if you're okay. If you need to talk, I'm here. I can help you out. I got some resources, whatever. You know my background. And he goes, like I said, I'm a firefighter. I'm good. Okay. Sure enough, that weekend, a weekend later, I remember, we get called. He's now driving. We get called to a condominium fire on a college campus, potential victims inside, and they can't get out. So, dormitory style, but they're condo style. It's people who it's for adults who are in the workforce but going back to school, living there, and they can have their families, kitchen style dormitory.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all brick mortar. There's no wood frame. And we get called in on the engine, and he's driving. Let's go. And he's like, I can't do this. What do you mean you can't do this? You all right? I can't drive. You okay? He's like, I just don't know if I can do this. I'm going to have to be a pump operator, and I don't know if I can handle it. I said, what are you comfortable doing? Do you want to go? I want to go, but I'm not comfortable doing what I'm assigned to do right now. Hop in the back, I got it. What? I said, hop in the back, I'll drive. I said, Big D. That's what I call my buddy. You're the officer. Let's go. He said, huh? You're the officer. I'm driving. Let's go. And we get there. And I'm like, what do you need? And they said, stand by. All right, stand by at the hydrant. Send your crew. Okay, let's send the crew. They go. All of a sudden, they say, engine 2. Prep the hydrant. We need the supply line to our pump, to our quint. You only told us to stand by and send our manpower. I thought you had a hydrant set up. I wasn't. Well, I look. 3 guys are already stretching that line off that quint into that building because the crew that was on there was forcing that door and doing a search. We were working off of that when they just needed a supply, established water supply. Nobody knew there was people got trapped in this condo until we got there. Till they got there, the truck got there.
Yeah.
So I'm stretching the line by myself. I'm stretching the 5-inch. I'm wrapping a hydrant. I'm doing the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be quite interesting. Well, I have a panic attack. Well,
you did?
I did. Because I wrap it. I don't,
Yeah.
you would wrap it and go. I didn't do that. What instead I did was I connected the pony to there. A pony line was like 25 feet of 5-inch hose to the hydrant.
Yeah.
Dropped the bed and dragged it to the operator of the quint. But that wasn't the problem. I was able to do that because I'm by myself. I can't drive. There's no way. The way we're positioned, the islands on the parking lot, it was just not one person shit. I'll do that. I'm doing it, and he's screaming at me, I need the water. Well, I had a panic attack because I'm hearing, we need water. There's people in here. We got in. We need water. I'm carrying on for about a minute or so. I'm gonna be honest with you. I forgot how to get water. Not to the top, not to my pumper, but how was I supposed to relay it to that other pump? I had a complete brain fart about the discharge on you. I didn't open the valve. And I'm screaming, I'm giving you water. We're talking to each other off radio because we're only like a stone's throw away. Instead of tying up radio, I'm like, he came over to me threw me up against the panel, one of the sides of the apparatus. Said, "You didn't open the effing discharge, you moron." I looked at him. I'm like, "Oh my!" I just was like, "I'm so sorry," and we talked it out after that. We hashed it out. Had a complete brain fart. I just panicked because I'm thinking, "Is this guy?" I'm thinking to myself, "What's going on?" And we had a complete shift change of who's doing what at the moment. We're supposed to be leaving the bay, so
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I mean that you've jumped around. You've swapped places. That's the thing. You've swapped places last minute to
yeah,
get to accommodate somebody else, haven't you?
yep. And
Really?
honestly, a couple weeks later, never saw the guy again.
Wow.
Not even a goodbye. Nothing. Just I'm out of here.
Just gone.
Gone. Yeah.
I wonder. Yeah, I mean, something's got to him there. I wonder how different it could have been if he'd have acknowledged that he wasn't all right, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe somebody could have offered him a bit of, if he'd have been willing to take it, a
Yep.
bit of support, and there might have been a different outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've asked guys who've been friends with him, like, hey, they're like, he kind of just cut everyone off and went on his own. He was going to start a different career and wanted to do, something else. And hey, that's fine. But at least he acknowledged it before it was too late, early on. And
Yeah.
didn't do anything crazy. Just hey, not for me.
Yeah. I wouldn't have wanted that situation to occur again, where you're about to respond to a call and it's nope, sorry, don't want to do that. I would have thought that driving and pump operating was probably if he was saying, I don't want to have to deal with this, I would have expected he was probably in the best place anyway. I would have expected him to feel comfortable with where he was.
Yeah.
Anyway, because you kind of, especially in my experience as a driver, you're outside, you're away from, let's say, the action, if you like. You're kind of a little bit more removed from it, aren't you? And you're not going into the building. So, and also you've got somebody else telling you what to do as well, calling the shots. So I'm surprised he didn't feel comfortable. Yeah. He felt more comfortable swapping around, really.
He did, and he was just the third guy on the line at that point, just feeding hose from the door. Kind of went at the end. I talked to the guy who was taking over, and he's like, he just kept quiet, kept him, did what he needed to do to make sure the line was in place, the fire was knocked down, as far as he went. So, I asked him at the call, you're all right? And he goes, I just wasn't comfortable. This would have been my first time really going to an incident like that, an actual fire and having to potentially pump. And I just got scared. And I was like, I understand. I've been in that situation before and, it happens. So,
yeah. What a shame. On another note, I wanted to discuss your book, which I've got a copy of here.
Nice.
That I've had for a while now.
Yes.
What did I've marked a couple of bits that I wanted to ask. Wait, just a couple of little quotes that I wanted to ask you about. In fact, we'll just look at the chapters, because it kind of reflects what we've been talking about, really, and it paints a nice little picture of the way you approach the job, really. So we've got obviously the 5-tool firefighter. That's based on baseball, isn't it?
Yes.
Which I like the translation there, like the way you've linked the two. So we've got leadership, firematics, situational awareness, fit for duty, and adaptable. Mm-hmm. So there's something that jumped out at me in the leadership chapter, where you said, in any facet of life, we will never know everything. Same goes for the fire service. We will never know, no matter how much we think we can, we will never know everything. And honestly, that's okay. Great leaders don't need to know everything. They first need to set goals and know what the most important goal they want accomplished is. After identifying the goals, they then need to determine what the outcome should be for each goal. What should be accomplished? Why? How? Next is to set strategies and tactics to meet each goal and finally execute. I mean, that kind of sums up, really, great leadership, because, you've said they don't need to know everything because they've got the crew around them, haven't they? Yeah. So they've got a crew around them, and hopefully that crew are going to fill in the gaps for them. I'm guessing that's the that's the approach that you take, and you look after your crew while at the same time being humble enough to recognize that you don't know everything, and there might be members of your crew that know more about some things, certain areas, than you do, or other members of the crew. And I think that's also what makes a great team, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. Early on, I thought to be an officer, you had to know almost everything. That's how, they make it seem. But when you really step back at it, every person has a position on the apparatus, just like everyone in any sport, football, and I'm talking about soccer, football, not American football. Everyone has to know that my son plays, so it's fresh in my mind. When you step onto the pitch, everyone has a position. You have the goalie has their position, midfielders, you have strikers, you have defense, and I'm sure I'm missing a few positions because I'm not a soccer player, but I love Premier League and Serie A. Those are the only two things, and World Cup. It's the only thing I watch. But
Yeah.
and I'm a Man U fan. But outside of that, everyone has their own position to play and their own role to do. A goalie's not going to be able to take the ball up the field and try to score. A defender might not happen. The same goes to the fire service. Not everyone's going to be the nozzleman. Not everyone's going to be the officer. And the thing is, you have your command officer, you have your company officer. You can't make decisions if you don't know what needs to be done. You can't put resources in place if you don't know what needs to be done at the end of it. Any facet of life, you can't make a decision if you don't know what you expect to happen at the end. My wife works in she's an accountant, and she works in different areas. You have an expected outcome you want. You want something to balance in her mind at the end of the day. And you're expecting a certain number. Well, how do you get there? You have all your different things that you do to get to that number or get to that outcome of what you're trying to do. Baseball's no different. Every position on the field. I played center field. My position was to control the outfielders, man the outfield. I was in charge of the outfield. But I'm not getting the orders from my brain, so to speak. I'm catching it from maybe the catcher, the second baseman, the shortstop, the coach in the dugout, signaling something to me, touching his nose, doing something to get my attention. So we either move in, move out. We keep a card in our pocket to know what that hitter is doing, what their tendencies are. Are they a pull hitter, a push hitter? Are they hitting dead center, lefty, righty? You have to know what you're going to expect to happen before you make the decision. That's critical thinking. That's how critical thinking works. You have to understand the outcome before you get into anything else. And that's why leadership and understanding outcomes is first and foremost important of yourself before it is of anybody else. And that's how Firematics is number 2. So that's kind of how I put that together.
I like that. I think that also links to the influence that we can have on other people. And there's another bit where you talk about the influence senior firefighters can have on the new firefighters. And you've said, perhaps most importantly, the disciplined firefighter will share their knowledge and experience with the younger members to instill a sense of pride and discipline into the new generation of first responders. This is critical because the younger generations look up to those who have been around for a long time. They tend to model their behaviours and tendencies to that of the more experienced crew members. If we are sloppy, careless and not disciplined, they will also be. On the flip side, if we are squared away and disciplined, they will be too. And I think that jumped out at me because you often hear a lot of complaints about the newer generations of firefighters and saying, I think it happens with every generation, doesn't it? That this generation they're not, they've not got the drive that the generation before them had. And it's just I think every generation at some point will say something negative about the generation that follows them. And it tends to be that they don't quite measure up until, they maybe get a little bit older, and then the next generation comes along, and then they're the problem, they become the problem. And it just really made me think that, if we have got new members that they're perhaps not meeting the expectations of the older members, maybe that is on the older members. Maybe they need to set a better example.
I totally agree. And the senior member of my firehouse says that all the time. You utilize the senior members for their experiences that they have. Some of them are very good at construction. Some are good at sprinkler systems. Just some have really good experience. So you got to utilize that. But if your senior members are lazy and they're not doing something, and kind of just going lackadaisical, the new members are going to follow the same way. And that's how it is. Like, you have to lead by setting the example. And one thing I do every time I step in that firehouse, I go to my locker and I check my gear. I check everything. I just literally check the thing like it's like looking for, even though if it has been touched, I'm still looking at things on, making sure nothing's out of place. I know what's in my pocket. Nothing's frayed. Everything is there. If I keep tools in my pocket, are they in working order? Where's my bailout kit? Where's my rope? Where's all my stuff? My cutters. You just never know when you're going to need them. And that's one thing I do is check your stuff, but I checked it the other day. It's fine. I check it again. You never know. Just, something. Where's your hood? Where's your gloves? Different things. Is your helmet in place? Is everything all tidy on that? So little things like that, mop into place, sweeping the floors, taking out the garbage, all part of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If they see you doing that, then hopefully they'll emulate that as well, and it'll become the standard.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a couple other things as well. I like the bit where you say about change. We're not big fans of change, are we? As the old saying goes, the two things firefighters dislike the most: change and status quo. I got a little laugh out of that because it's so true. And I've had conversations with the people. We do see a lot of change in this job. Some of it necessary, some of it not so much. But I think we're on the cusp of instrumental change at the moment in this job, and I think there's a lot of it around the corner that we need to get on board with, really, and for our own benefit, really, especially the health kind, the health stuff and the stigma around physical health as well as mental health. Yep. I think it's something that we should be driving, and this. I really like the sort of the overarching tone of the book, really. You talk at the end about being adaptable, and you say, get out of your comfort zone, listen more, talk less. That's such a big one for me. So the better the listener you are, the better you are able to make decisions, and the more we talk, the less we learn. And I think it's so true. So it full of good quotes is this book, and then question everything as well. Yeah, question everything. Never take it for granted, and I think it's a great book. It's a few years old now, isn't it? I think you wrote it a few years ago, didn't you?
Yeah, 2021.
21, so 4 years ago. Where can people get a copy if they want to get a copy of it?
At the website, or Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Those websites too have it. So Amazon to get in a day or two. So it's still there. It's got the workbook as well, which translates the book in the same type of facet, just to kind of put in your own perspective. So you start with leadership, question your leadership, question what you want to do as a leader, question your goals, and then you have to outline your goals and how you're going to accomplish them, and move it into firematics, and I build it the same way. Here's scenarios. I take the 5 types of building construction, 6 actually, because I use hybrid, and I give scenarios. Same scenario 3 times for each building construction, but the reason I do it 3 ways is because I changed the staffing, and I'm using the NFPA standard of minimum staffing to utilize that. So you have your minimum staffing, you have your maximum staffing for the square footage of that type of structure, and you have your open staffing. So you can make up the numbers of what you have on your engine, truck, rescue, chief car and figure it out. And I do that. Situational awareness is built into that. Fitness for duty is different in this one because I don't give a workout. What's the point? I'm not going to tell you how to work out. I never assessed you. I don't know what you do. I don't know your lifestyle. But what I'm doing is I want you to track how much water you're taking, what time you're going to bed, what time you're waking up. Are you eating greens? Are you eating meat? How many grams of protein are you getting out of your meat? Are you taking protein shakes? Are you stretching? Using a sauna if you have one? Are you doing cold baths if you do? It's all listed in there. Different things like that. It's a journal of questioning what you're doing for 30 days. And are you working out? Don't put your workout in, but is it weight training? Is it HIIT? Is it functional fitness? Is it cardio? How long is it? Things like that. What's your heart rate? Your max heart rate? Are you tracking it? Those things make a difference when it comes to your mental and physical health. It's not just getting the workout in, but looking at when you go to sleep, what you're doing before sleep, what you're doing when you wake up. Those habits all translate back to self-leadership or being adaptable, being able to think, being able to perform, all of it. If you don't have that down, you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others, you can't think on the fire ground, you can't perform on the fire ground, you can't work out, you're not eating right, and you're not there for your family.
Absolutely. And I think, you've the book says all that. You've even got a nutrition section in it, haven't you? And you talk about yoga and different types of workouts and stuff. And yeah, it's great. I would recommend it to any firefighter anywhere, really. I think it'll translate no matter what country you're in. Yeah, great read, mate.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it. Yeah, I also wanted to ask about any kind of standout moments that you want to talk about. Are there any kind of parts of your career that jump out at you that are, I mean, 20 odd years is probably a lot, to be honest. Any particular standout moments that would be good to hear about?
Honestly, it's being able to do stuff like this. Go on podcasts, go to conferences and seminars, and just talk. Talk about. I love talking about the book, The 5-Tool Firefighter. I like talking about wellness and health. Those are things that stand out. Doing the firefighter stuff, it's at the end of the day, that's what you sign up for. When we had a call not too long ago, maybe a month ago. It was a Tuesday night. We're actually watching an Andy Starnes YouTube video. I put it on. I said, we're going to watch this. And midway through, we get a call for someone's finger stuck in a vacuum. Of all things.
Okay.
Yeah. Wasn't a vacuum. It was actually a pool skimmer, but they said it was a vacuum. So, just to know we were able to help somebody at the same time, and just knowing that you're making a difference in somebody's life, making their worst day. Because whenever you call 911, it's your worst moment. It's embarrassing. It's scary. There's emotions everywhere. And just knowing that you can try to mitigate that situation or even completely combat that situation. It's nice. They say there's no such the show Friends here in the States did one time. There's no such thing as a selfless act. There isn't, because even when you do something, you still have a sense of gratitude or a sense of pride or something that you did something. You can't say you don't feel something from helping somebody in what is their worst time. We get a lot of car accidents where we are. So being able to help those people, it means a lot. That's like a proud moment. Just, being able to be on stuff like this and just talk.
Yeah, great, mate. I really like the sentiment behind that. Yeah, and you're right. It's, a normal day for us can be the worst day of somebody else's life. So I think, yeah, it's important that we remember that and we conduct ourselves accordingly. And I think, yeah, the sentiment there behind that is it's a reassuring one. And yeah, you say to do things like this. I love doing this. It's great, and particularly connecting with people like yourself from such a distance away. It's a privilege to be able to do this. And yeah, it's a privilege to have you on and to be able to have a conversation with you. So thank you for that. What about next steps in terms of your career? Where do you see yourself going? Where do you see your career progressing? I'm sure that I'm almost certain you haven't peaked yet.
No, not at all. I'm still taking courses and doing different things. And, I'm working on some certifications at the same time. I want to get those out the way. I'm always trying to learn more. Any type of learning I can get, I try to take as much as I can, but not overload myself. That's the one thing. I always want to be the student of the game, as many say. But, as far as moving up, that'll happen soon. I'm going to start pushing for that and getting myself to the next level. Captain would be the next spot. Not looking to say I want to do it tomorrow, but it's in the front
in
of
the
me.
works.
In the works. It's not like if it happens tomorrow, I'm going to jump on it. It might not. It might happen 2 years from now. It's just continue learning. It's like Jocko Willing said, you don't get that promotion, you don't get that good. More time to learn, more time to evaluate, more time to seek other opportunities and learn new things. So that's my headset.
When you do take that step, you'll be better for it, won't you? Yeah,
exactly.
right time. And the more prepared you are, the better you'll be. I think the worst thing we can do is rush into things. Not to say that I think you're almost never quite ready for something until you start doing it, but you can definitely do things too soon, I think, and I think more people need to be aware of that, I think, really.
100%. That's the best way to put it.
I think, the awareness there is refreshing. What about, have you got any recommendations for a book, a documentary, obviously apart from your own book, You're not allowed to recommend your own book. Book, documentary, or movie recommendation.
I am actually going to look one up. I had it on my phone, and I'm just pulling it up. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's a book from an FDNY firefighter,
Ooh,
and I
interesting.
cannot find it.
I will stick a link to your book in the notes for the podcast episode, by the way, so people can find it there.
Awesome. Well, I can't find the name of the book, but
No.
I would actually get books.
Yeah.
Vincent Dunn. He has a bunch of good
Oh,
books
yeah.
out there. There's a bunch of
I'm
books from
familiar with
Vincent
the
Dunn
name.
out there on building construction. It's called Stories from Engine 62, Engine 80, something of
I
that
know what
nature.
you mean. Report from Engine Company 82.
That's
Dennis
it.
Smith. Yes, I've read
That's
it.
the book.
Amazing book. Amazing book.
I was just
Yeah.
talking to Tom about it. He has the book. I just could not get the name of it off the top of my head because I haven't read it yet. But I heard nothing but great things on the book. Everyone's recommended it to me, so I'm gonna recommend it to people.
Mate,
But
read it.
good book.
It's so good. Yeah, I read it a couple of years ago.
That's a really good book.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Dennis Smith. Fountain of knowledge.
Yes.
A lot of experience. Yeah.
Anything from Dennis Smith. And Dennis Smith, I'll get books from him. Vincent Dunn. Shy from that, if you want to watch anything on YouTube, Seek Thermal or Inside Fire Training. That's Andy Stone's. He has tons and tons of thermalography things on there. With him, maybe Tom Anderson's on there, Joey Baxa. Tons of different things about utilizing a thermal imaging camera for many different scenarios on the fire ground. Highly recommend it. Great hour and a half type of stuff to put on the TV at the firehouse during some downtime.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Massively underutilized piece of kit, I think, is a thermal image camera. There's a lot. I could learn a lot more about it. You know, we did a refresher, a BA refresher a couple of years ago where we just focused on the uses of the TIC, and it just reminds you and refreshes you on all the, you know, the ways it works. And yeah, massively underutilized piece of kit. I think you sometimes forget it's there sometimes, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, mate. And I want to ask you before we part ways, where can people reach you if they want to learn a little bit more about you, what you do, or they want any advice from you? Where can people get hold of you?
Edit at firehousetribune.com. So it's thefirehousetribune.com, or Instagram is at FH Tribune. Email is editor at the Firehouse Tribune. Those are the best places to get me. I have the it's also on Facebook, it's on X, it's on LinkedIn, but Instagram is the spot. So I will 100% use that, or just the website itself. Best place to put messages through.
Awesome. Thanks for that, mate. Much appreciated. And it has been really nice doing this the other way around and having you on for a chat. Been looking forward to it for a while. So yeah, thanks for coming on. And have a great rest of your day. And
you too.
Yeah, take care, mate. And I'm sure we'll catch up soon.
Absolutely. It was great talking again.
Awesome. You too. Cheers, Nick.
Cheers.
Catch you soon, mate. Bye-bye.